Geo and Achieved both had a 2.0 plus rating inside of that game. That's just so terrifying when it comes down to it. But I do want to say this. I wrote this down just to kind of have, an asterisk next to this. They started defense, and we all know how big of a deal that is when it comes to Cafe.
Yeah, so DarkZero going to have the edge on that inside of this matchup, as they'll be getting the defensive start. Already one that ban out of the way. Thatcher's going to get knocked out. Once again, aligning with usual meta trends. This one's going to be interesting, actually, as we see Ying getting banned out. It's not super crazy, because we've seen Ying used quite a bit this season inside of kind of all of a sudden attacks that teams are trying to bring out to the table, especially against hard to breach setups there. So it actually makes sense to ban her out here.
Absolutely. They're also going to remove the Momai as well, which limits the potential for, those throwable deniers on the defense. Valkyrie going to join her band of teammates as per usual, one of the most banned out operators when it comes down to it, and one that DarkZero does not allow to live. I believe that they have banned her out. Yeah, this will be the 5th time actually they've banned her on Cafe inside of their recent maps here. So apparently just really not liking the Valkyrie on Cafe, and you can definitely tell why. Lots of annoying camera spots when it comes down to it, and just really don't want to have to try and deal with that. But we're out of all of the small talk now, folks, into the reveal phase for the very first time here inside of round 1. Let's get down to business as DarkZero start us off inside of Kitchen.
Let's see if we get any interesting picks off the bat here. We are looking at a potential 6-pick away from Jaeger over towards the Mira from Skies, and that'll be interesting to see get played out downstairs in the Kitchen, simply because that is not going to leave the defense with any form of utility mitigation. Now, more than likely not going to be the end of the world, especially when you look at this site and see how large it is. Pretty difficult to get winning utility onto these players, and more importantly, there's actually not a whole lot being brought by the attack just as of yet. Just got those 2 frags and 2 smokes, and obviously the flashbangs to be dealt with, but those are pretty easy to mitigate in most situations here. So should be a winning combination for DarkZero if they're able to fend off the attack from TSM. And that will be the next question. How does TSM want to approach attacking this site? There's multiple ways you can go about it. Top down, of course, being the most common clear, but the defenders also having a choice in this department too, whether they want to defend vertically or horizontally. You can focus entirely on the first floor and focus your defense towards VIP, or do what DarkZero appear to be doing now and extending upwards in order to waste time against TSM's top-down clear.
Especially given the utility they brought along for this Kitchen defense with Mint and Hyper just completely circumnavigating the entire drone game and just being a big hindrance overall. Obviously, Eclipse adding to that heap as well. So we'll see if they can have some sorts of influence over that. But as of right now, TSM finally let out the gates, and their operator lineup is looking quite similar to what we would expect from any team on this map. Sledge, Nomad, Zofia, Ace, and Ash along for the ride. The Sledge, the most notable one inside of this lineup. Obviously, Chala going to be rocking the Nomad as per usual. He's such a solid player when it comes down to it on this operator, and on Cafe, she is just bloodthirsty when it comes down to it on shutting down those flanks. Obviously, TSM more than likely want to try and get Achieved inside of Train and have him start breaking up that flooring, but it's going to be quite a tall task as DarkZero have set up for this, currently having 3 members in the mid floor.
We're just going for a quick spam in towards the inside of the showers there, hoping to get lucky, but not going to be able to find anyone. So the respray will take care of the soft paneling. It's going to be Bolo to strike first here as he catches Hyper on a cross just on the inside of the library door here. Mint will immediately exchange as he picks one up from the Nitro Cell. Big part of this round is just how many Nitro Cells DarkZero brought to the table. As well, that one's been used. There's still 2 potential other ones to be used in the late round here.
Well, the bigger fold here being that Geo's now off the board. That's all of their hard destruction gone, so TSM will have to funnel here. There is no if, and, or buts about it. Just how they're going to go about it, that's the big question. Obviously, since DarkZero had the roam game going on that we've kind of grown accustomed to here on Cafe, that hatch will be open for Freezer, so they could attempt to go for that. Not going to have man advantage, though, so more than likely want to try and look for some picks and have Achieve start to work this flooring. This is going to be a really big deal and should set them up for success in the future if they're able to get a pick.
Achieved going to nearly get taken out by, I believe, a second Nitro Cell deployment. Only 1 remaining on the DZ roster now, and that's going to be NJRs that he can still potentially use, and well, that's not going to be it. Correct myself. Those are breaching charges. There we go. That's the Nitro Cell from Skies. That's going to ring true. Actually, I have to correct myself from before. That first explosion that I called a Nitro Cell, also not one. That was apparently also a breaching charge there. So getting a little confused on my explosions, but either way, great impact being made here by DZ. TSM struggling to transition from the second down to the first floor. The time quickly running out here.
All
Comes the drop play, though. TSM going to attempt to work themselves in. There is a player right in the corner here as they try to swing out. Mint knows it, but he's going to get stunned by that charge. Can't do anything about it as he misses the play from Chala. That's going to let him and the rest of TSM out into the kitchen. And on top of that, Chala nets himself a second kill. Big swing from Skies, but he's not quick enough to get the second onto Bolo, who was in the middle of planting when the first kill happened. Times at 0 now. Bolo's going to lock in NJR, here to support and here to take down Bolo as DarkZero rebounds right at the last second in order to claim round 1.
Oh, that's so rough for TSM. They just did not have the Ashe in the proper position to be able to assist there. It seemed that DarkZero had the means to be able to get back to bunker from anywhere on site, and Merc just did not have the lineup to be able to hold the cross for them. And that's so very unfortunate because it seemed like TSM, especially after the kill on the bomb chassis, had that low time execution in spades. But we all saw how that one ended. TSM with a nice clear early on, though. They do trade back and forth, and honestly, I think them losing Geo wasn't the worst thing in the world when it came down to it. It was simply just not being able to establish the crosses how they necessarily wanted to when it came to planting the case.
So that'll shift us into a second offense here now for DarkZero as they're going to move upstairs. Not all the way, though, stopping first off at the library defense first here on the second floor before returning to that third floor play, which we started to see a lot of attacker wins on as of late here. Teams just not able to successfully defend that upstairs site as well as it was initially being played when this map had the rework happen when it was brought back into the competitive pool, I think about a year or so ago now. But let's try and see if DarkZero will be able to net themselves that second victory on the library hold instead, but of course it's not without its third floor play. The extension specifically into the toilets as well as the... This is actually pretty nice too. You got the Surya Gate, the Castle Barricade, obviously the mirror window to play off, but the rotate works its way towards the freezer, which should make it quite difficult, in theory anyway, for TSM to take this bunkered player out.
That's such a DarkZero thing to do. It really is. The Surya Gate on the outside of the castle barricade means the first projectile that hits it won't actually destroy the castle barricade. So you have to dedicate 2 pieces at a minimum to getting rid of that single barricade to have any influence over the player behind that mirror. So we'll see how TSM want to break that up, but that's going to be pretty difficult, as well as since they'll have to actually get some insight on that situation. And DZ, well, they're bringing info denial as well, unless Skies has that all set up for the walls, but we'll have to get some insight on that later. As for now, though, DZ, 3 top, 2 in the mid floor for this hold, as it's pretty extravagant on this top floor.
Definitely a lot of emphasis on the time-wasting capabilities of DarkZero here, and it's going to continue on the first floor. Also, Bolo, seeing that door getting open, now has to keep his eyes on it for the foreseeable future here to make sure that there isn't going to be an immediate run out, which would obviously lead to his death if he continues to haphazardly approach the roof. He'll end up making it out there, though, and be able to shift away his attention from that white stairs door position, playing with the rest of his team now on this execute. Merc will just pop open Cigar real quick, but on the cross, working himself past the doorway out into the actual bar area, fails to account for NJR playing from default. At the same time, though, NJR fails to account for the properties of gravity. Achieved is going to be able to drop that nade right on his head, pick him up, and bring us down to a 4v4.
Which law is that from Newton? The third law, first law? I can't remember. It's one of them.
I don't remember that.
Don't do science live, folks. That's the next one for commentators. Either way, a really cheeky refrag there that should have never happened, and honestly, Merc just off on timing for his entry. They didn't have the info for Shaiko spot or really anything inside of the bar. The drone wasn't even there yet, and he simply ran inside the building. That wasn't necessarily the best play for him there, and that's why he ended up getting fragged out. But either way, DarkZero now take the lead yet again as Eclipse with a nice move takes down Shala, one of the highlight players for TSM that has continued to impress throughout stage 1, but now sitting on the bench. Hyper gets one for himself as well. He gets initially picked previously, but the Nitro Cell rings true. Eclipse able to pick up another one, and TSM just falling apart at the scene.
DarkZero literally running circles around TSM on this upstairs hold right now, never having to pull it back or play into the extended or play into the actual site positions downstairs. Getting a little too comfortable saying that sentence there, but anyway, we're going to see Achieve try to work himself out of this very awkward situation now in a 1v4 here. Not really anything that he's going to be able to play into, excuse me. No real info out on the table either. There are 3 preset drones somewhere out and across the map, but in terms of what those drones are showing Achieved, probably not going to be a whole lot, but at least a promising start to the potential clutch attempt coming out for Achieved now. Quickly takes down the remaining third floor player. The default cam will spot him on his retreat down through the banister and on to the second floor. He's going to attempt to make one final swing. Skies very much ready to shut that down, though, and DarkZero indeed takes swift control over round number 2.
This is looking like a much more poised DarkZero. Very patient, not giving up too much when it comes to these picks. The refrags are coming through from TSM, yes, but as we talked about previously, it was kind of a cheeky one with that frag grenade rolling in, and DarkZero capitalized on every other situation that surrounded that. They took back into Christmas. They were able to get in behind TSM inside of bar and eliminate every single target inside of a tri-state area. So it's just difficult for TSM to really do anything there, as DarkZero had full control of the entire map. TSM's space was so unbelievably minuscule that it didn't even matter at the end of the day. And when it comes down to achieved, yes, he might be tied for first in clutches for the entire league, but when it comes to a 1v4, you're probably not going to win that.
So on the topic of DarkZero giving us a great performance, there's a lot of reason as to why they would want to solidify this game so one-sidedly in their favor. And that's because this is their last match. They have their bye week, quote unquote, tomorrow, or bye day, I guess it would be in this case, since we're in the Super Week. So they're not going to have any additional opportunities to earn points tomorrow, whereas a lot of our other teams are. So this is the last chance for DarkZero to solidify their record and set themselves up for the best possible point total before basically just having to sit back and watch the 4 games tomorrow and wait for the results, hoping that they come out on top, or at least as on top as they could be given their scoreline.
Okay, well, DarkZero going to go from library immediately into the next dining room defensive site. They're going to head over to mining. So another mid-floor defense here. Obviously, the plan is going to change up ever so slightly, but actually now looking at the lineup, it's actually changed up quite a bit. Eclipse going to now have the Maestro Skies on Pulse, as well as Mint on the Kaid. Looks like we're going to be dropping the Saria gates here. Won't have to use those. NJR still will stay on the castle here. But, well, that's not the best way to get the most use out of Pulse, as the Skies will go down quite early here.
Guys trying to get aggressive there with a poked out hole, hoping that it was a little bit too bold for his opponents to notice, but clearly not the case. They see it coming and are able to take down Skies. As Stokes had mentioned, that's going to be all the Pulse utility now gone from the inside of this round here. A pretty big loss of utility for DarkZero. Maybe the beginning of something successful for TSM on the inside of this round. Quick red control is going to go their way here. Shouldn't be much of an issue for Merc and at least one of their players to start dropping in, taking the control away from members of DarkZero. They once again have the extended play rotated all the way out over towards the cocktail bar position. Once again, they've got 2 players currently playing into that, waiting for the eventual aggression to come out from TSM. They do spot the 1 player in Cigar transitioning between that and the Cigar Lounge. Not going to be able to do any damage to him, though.
DarkZero doing a very good job of keeping TSM out the door. Don't want them working their way in through this top floor, but here's the adjustment from TSM. Bolo now on Repel on the east side, as he'll be able to work the window. They'll clear the ADSs and get rid of some utility in the back end as well as they continue to apply pressure. NJR wants to stick around for the gunfight, though, as he'll stay upstairs inside of Cocktail. Gets a drone for his troubles, but Bolo, right after the bullets come out of that ump, dumps a mag into his head. NJR now down. 2 down for DarkZero overall, and top control for TSM.
So Merc already confirming that top control, going to start working on opening things up here, as well as opening up the options, hopefully, for TSM to start funneling out the remaining 3 players on DarkZero. Remember, we're still on the 2nd floor hold here currently for these guys, as they're trying to once again just take control of the other of the 2 second floor sites. So a little bit different on the defensive setup down here in the actual site floor itself, but nonetheless, TSM just as many problems, I should say, when it comes to clearing out the overall player count that's still going to be spread out on the inside here. Mid trying to get a little bit aggressive, but he does notice the drone up on top of the trains. Problem is, though, he's going to be revealed, and Achieved has kind of a one-way in order to take down Mint there because of the awkwardness of the edge of that train. He's able to take him down outright, brings our defender count down to 2. Only Eclipse and Hyper left in the engagement now. Achieved getting a little bit bold, but in a 2v5, I think he can afford to do that, as now the rest of TSM will begin to drop down. The plant attempt coming in from Geo, I don't believe they'll be able to interrupt it. No nitros here on the defense, but there we go. 1 player going to go down. It's not the one planting, though, so that'll get confirmed. Bolo with a 2nd kill on the inside of this round. Hyper trying to turn it around, but no. Bolo with yet another kill as TSM finally get on the board.
And not only on the board, but that's also going to be their 2nd first blood and first plant. So solid start here for TSM on Cafe offense, as they're finally able to get around off of DZ. But as we see the normal trend of Cafe go on, this is, as of right now, looking like a 4-2 split, unless TSM have something to say about it. DarkZero want to shift downstairs to a kitchen service slash kitchen cooking defense, so we'll have to see how that one goes once we get there. But that previous round, just utter dominance from TSM when it came down to it. Fantastic clear of the top floor, especially utilizing the rappel on the cocktail windows. That's something that is a necessity when it comes down to that. You want to lock up that hatch inside a cocktail and make it to where NJR has no way in hell of getting out of that situation. Those kills so very vital when it comes down to clearing Cafe.
A couple of aggressive positioning mistakes for DarkZero as well costed them at least 2 players on the inside of that round. These are things that are very easily correctable by DarkZero, just telling the players, of course, not to be so aggressive and not to be so close to potential cutoff angles from TSM. And more than likely, we're going to see that fix on the inside of going back down to the kitchen defense, a round that DarkZero already took already took handily just a couple rounds back in round number 1 for themselves here. Setup should be the same as well, meaning we're going to have vertical emphasis on the defense here for DarkZero as they'll spread up to the 2nd and 3rd floors to slow down the take from TSM. TSM will have to respect this as well. They try to go horizontally and work their way in through the white stairs door. They're going to get collapsed upon way too quickly by about 3 to 4 players from DarkZero still roaming about upstairs. So that means they're going to have to fight this setup here that's extended up to the 3rd and 2nd floor, try to mitigate it back down, and once again, still leave themselves enough time to actually execute into the kitchen ultimately as well.
Just remember how unbelievably close this round was, and if TSM had somebody like Geo still alive with some hard breach, that round could have went completely sideways for DZ, as that leadoff pick was the hard destructor. So TSM probably going to play Geo a touch closer to the chest here, as they don't want him to get picked off so early on here. There's a lot of other people's, like Merc, for instance, jobs where they're supposed to be trying to get in this building and find these frags. Beautiful drawn from Bolo here on the chandelier inside of Library. Hyper more than likely not going to find this.
Right there, man.
Yeah, I can. You know what sucks is like we know where it is, so I'm just staring at it on the chandelier, and Hyper's like, where is this drone? Where is it at? They're gonna get another one down low as well, but Mint actually picking that up as it goes heaven. But pretty good read on the situation so far from TSM is they have eyes on not only a top player from DZ, but as well as what's going on in the mid floor. Nice frag grenade here will make Mint move, but Achieve seals the deal with a beautiful headshot and takes down Mint for the first pick.
Good timing on the execute from TSM in order to make that happen so quickly, catching Mint while he was mid-drop, trying to work his way down to the 2nd floor there. Chala still moving around the outskirts of the engine windows here too, or the oil windows, trying to see if he can get anybody while transitioning through the 2nd floor. But it's going to be Achieve that does it once again, able to isolate out Hyper and eliminate him also, more than likely a result of that drone getting left out and the constant info feed that would have been coming from that. Mozzie now gone. It's down to the 3 site players. This is looking very similar to the last round right now as TSM continues to systematically clear out the off-site presence.
That's an onslaught right now from TSM, as it seems that they've cracked open DarkZero's strat book and begin to break it completely down, cutting them off at multiple angles, able to get the roam game not only pushed back, but the frags out onto their side. Currently in a 5v3 going into the last minute. DarkZero looking quite sporadic as they try to cover ground across the mid floor. Sky's going to go for a rotate here. They desperately need a pick just because of how desperate the situation is overall. They're going to have to try and play aggressive and try and get some of these kills. Nobody wanting to try to make the move up to the middle floor, though, as obviously the air jabs will be logging down quite a few things. Chala dedicating all of those to the staircases. You can see he's used all of that utility already. Merc gonna, well, looks to be a breaching charge in the mid floor here. Don't believe he'll be able to see into Harry Potter. Might be able to get an angle on NJR, but concussion onto Eclipse instead. Geo now planting deep inside of Bunker. Merc's gonna get another one here through verticality. It's a 5v1 for NJR. Let's see if he can stop the flawless from happening. He cannot. Bolo amongst the shroud of smoke, able to take down NJR, and that's a beautiful round from TSM.
TSM going back into controlling position here after coming very close, as Stokes had mentioned, on the last attempt for this site. This time it's a lot different as they get a flawless round. The roam game from DarkZero not able to accomplish anything at all inside of that, just has to bow down to the clear presence from TSM, and that is going to force out a timeout from the DarkZero roster. Much needed one too here. This is a massive departure from the way the first couple of rounds were going. In fact, DarkZero themselves had a near flawless round back in round 2, and suddenly the status quo has changed in major fashion. So they have to iron themselves down as they're finally going to go up to a bar cocktail hold here on round 5. And more importantly, they need to figure out what's going wrong on the inside of these defenses so they can try to shore up another 1 or 2 rounds before the half closes out.
Yeah, the real question is how deep into the strategical bag does DarkZero go for these last 2 rounds? Because obviously defense is paramount to Cafe, and this game overall, such a big deal for both of these squads inside of the standings. So DZ almost off of this timeout now, as they're going to be going back to bar cocktail. And so far the defense has at least started extremely well. Round one, TSM did get the leadoff pick, but DZ are still able to translate that inside of that kitchen defense where they lock things up, or more specifically NJR was able to secure that round for them. And overall, he's been looking so much better with this team as he's gotten more time. I feel like that's something that's quite important to point out as well, is NJR inside of these last two playdays has actually seemed quite comfortable, given, you know, this being his first stage with them. But moving away from that, obviously, they were only able to secure their next one on Library, which they actually haven't went back to just yet. They went to Mining, then Kitchen, and now we're back to Bar.
Which is interesting, we see them not going back to Library, considering that was probably the most one-sided round in their favor. But given the way...
That top hold was so vicious.
Yeah, given the way that the round after that went, though, when they tried to defend over towards Mining, I can kind of see why they would have chosen to not go back to it, as it seems TSM learned their lesson very quickly and made immediate adjustments to clearing out that top hold on the following round there. DarkZero just haven't been able to make the top hold work for them as well as it was on the initial attempt. As a result of that, TSM has been picking up round after round since then. So time to see if DarkZero can go, well, right to where the message is being sent from here. They're going to go to the top floor defense outright now in a third floor play and see if they can make up the difference.
And it looks like they have to have a word with the big man upstairs, and that seems to be DarkZero at the top of Cafe. So we'll see if they can possibly get through this, as we have a different type of setup inside of the bathroom to play into Christmas here. Gonna have a Goyo shield with both the panels reinforced for a freezer rotate, so no available rotate to them from this bathroom location, as well as a Saria gate to keep the soft panel locked down. That's gonna make it to where people can't immediately have influence over the Goyo shield inside of that bathroom. But obviously the one thing standing out to more than likely all of us right now being that there's only one exit out of that room, and if TSM get enough control, whoever is playing inside of there is going to have a detrimental time, to say the least.
Already going to see one member of DarkZero fall, though, just a couple seconds into the round, and really a second or two after TSM got into a position where they could have got kills. So already fragging out here, as NJR this time going to be the first to fall for DZ. That Jaeger once more getting knocked out very early on here, and TSM having the benefit of the 5v4 to now play off of for the remaining 2 minutes.
All right, well, frag grenade out for Achieve. More than likely attempting to get rid of some utility. By the bounce, I'm saying there was an evil eye inside of the bar area that he was attempting to get rid of there. But either way, we'll have TSM starting to wrap around the building like we saw them do once before. It's Bolo on the cocktail rappel once again, but he's going to scamper off to the top of the building still. Still a lot of time here for TSM to work this top floor. They're currently trying to get everyone together and work for Christmas as they break down this utility. Already got rid of one Goyo shield. Still have to worry about the one inside of the bathroom that Eclipse is currently playing on. And this guy's been a highlight reel of a player for DarkZero so far this season, as he's currently tied second inside of rating and actually fourth currently inside of KD.
We get a chance to bump himself up a couple points in the standings here if he can frag out against this push, but Skies going to be the next to fall here. Another member of DarkZero faltering. It's going to continue, man. This is not looking great for DZ at the moment. TSM just tearing their way through the early round extended positions, and we're just never really seeing a response. That is until finally Mint lands a Nitro Cell, but remember, he's still in the hot seat too. He's playing next to a Goyo shield. There's a good lineup from Hyper. They are getting a little bit congested, TSM are on the outside of top red, and that's leading to a few issues as the trades start to roll out in the other direction. Geo, though, going to make an attempt for a plant. We've got so many players close to each other. No actual fights transpiring, but that's going to change all of a sudden as both Chala and Achieved mop up the remnants of DarkZero to give them yet another attacking round.
How the hell do we get Achieved inside of Heaven with no audio?
No idea.
Maestro didn't even know that he was there. Hyper had no idea. I didn't even know. I had no clue.
I would guess he just wraps around through a lower floor at that point, right? Because there's so much hyper focus on the third floor action.
No, he has to swing through the Heaven window. There's no other way to get there.
True.
So Achieve swung through that window. No one, not including us, had no idea he was there till that dying moment, and he just walks in and shoots Hyper in the side of the head. TSM are just so very dominant right now on this offensive side for Cafe, and the scary thing is I wish that it would get better for DarkZero, but the worst is yet to come because they have to switch sides after this round, and I don't know if DarkZero are up to that task when it comes down to handling TSM's defense, but we have to get to that point here. Obviously, DarkZero can still win on this defense, and they're going to be going back to the tried and true libraries. They'll set this up for the very last time. So far, DarkZero look quite strong inside of the earlier rounds, but after TSM have been able to allot not only 3 first bloods in a row, but also 3 rounds in a row to string those along and force DarkZero into a suboptimal position, to say the least.
I'd guess how the Heaven play went out. I would have to guess it was during that spray from the Maestro across into bar, where I think they picked up like 1 to 2 kills against TSM there. Probably the noise.
He's just spraying the 81 and he swings it off the
81
and
he's able to mask it because the window was, I would guess the window was probably already opened at that point, like the barricades and all that.
Yeah.
So more than likely didn't make that much noise, like not like the booming of the breaking of the barricades or anything like that, but still would have been able to probably mask the actual repel noise if the spray was going on.
Absolutely. You still got to feel bad for Hyper in that situation,
for sure.
though, is like, that's the last area you're going to check unless you hear something based off audio. You know what I mean? So just very difficult situation for him. But once again, DarkZero still have an opportunity here to equalize, and this is paramount to their success in the future of this game. And it all starts now. 30 seconds in, TSM already to the roof and breaking things up. And luckily enough, nobody on DarkZero is dead yet.
Yes, for the time being, no one on DarkZero has been lost here, although the current storyline inside of the large majority of these rounds has led us into a position where TSM has been able to net themselves the first kill, oftentimes unresponded to, oftentimes seeing TSM get 2 to 3 kills after that, as well as we just saw it transpire on the previous round. Below, a little bit late there on trying to spray into Library, but nearly gets himself the kill into NJR yet again, as he's almost caught there by the outside of the Library door.
I swear, I catch myself sweating for these players all the time when that kind of stuff happens. It's such a scary sight when it comes down to it. But either way, TSM with some strong headway so far up top, and this offense for them has looked so strong throughout this half so far. They've been playing very tight-knit, great team play, amazing crosses, and the other beautiful thing so far has been their pick game. They've been able to not only get picks, but also on the refrag from DarkZero, kill them as well. And that's what the thing that where like the snowball effect has been coming through. TSM sets up, they're able to get the initial frag, DarkZero attempt to refrag, but the angle's already being held by TSM, and they're able to kill them off of those swings. So DarkZero now going down to the last minute here are going to begin to back off of the top floor, and honestly not the worst thing in the world. Still have a nitro cell here on NJR, still have Mint alive, but look at the utility right now across the board. Truly the only stop utility wise being on NJR with that nitro cell.
All 3 smoke gas grenades are now gone from Mint's arsenal. They have nothing left to utilize here except for that single nitro. The good news is, as well, is that they've wasted a lot of time, so might not need to end up using any of that weak utility that's now missing, just due to the fact that there's a lack of time. TSM are potentially going to end up having to rush in a couple situations here and lose their player count, but that's not stopping them. Geo walks right across the default, despite this massive stack from DarkZero that's been built up through White in the entire round. There's an unchallenged plant that goes down. Finally, the nitro cell is going to go out. Those DarkZero immediately begin the retake. That's going to take down Geo. Remember, Achieved is a top-down angle against this. Polo with the next pickup here. Chala finds yet another, and the frags are starting to roll out into the favor of TSM. NJR and Skies battle it back. NJR, though, air jab just a moment after he picks up his kill. Not going to be able to keep up the aggression onto Achieved, but at the same time, Achieved having to watch out here, having to try and stop the counter defuse. His awkward angle, but he finally gets the headshot. Now he'll be pressed out by NJR, though. Merc's the last one, but he traded out the only other player alive on DZ, and from hell will take down NJR as well. What a clutch from Merc to give the round over to TSM as they take a 4-2 lead at halftime.
It's the multifaceted defensive play here for TSM in the post plant, and they're able to lock things up. DarkZero let a bomb plant go off without a hitch. Not a single thing coming down onto TSM until the case is already planted, and then at that point, it's already too little too late. NJR is able to get the nitro cell in to kill Geo, but that's his job anyways. He's more than likely going to die in that situation, given that it's a 5v5, and TSM are able to translate that into a round win and go 4-2 on the offensive side of Cafe. What a half. Like, there's no other way to put it. TSM just utter dominance across the entire board. They had opening pick 5 times on that half.
And just to emphasize it as well, is I don't think we have like trade stats listed anywhere, but from what I could gather, like I said at the beginning of the last round, TSM, when they were getting that opening kill, it's usually not getting immediately traded by DarkZero. I think you brought this up at one point in the round too, but like TSM are usually actually on the trade attempt from DarkZero getting a second kill on top of that as
They
well.
already have it set up.
Yeah.
It's the I was about to say lexicon, but it's like the web that they weave on offense, right? Like everything's already set up angle wise and like, okay, we're ready. And when they have all those locked down, they go get the kill. Everybody else tries to push in and they frag out those guys too.
It was a really lethal early round from TSM that we saw some light from DarkZero at the beginning of the half, like a really promising start. But as soon as TSM got the read on how DarkZero, especially when it came to that extended third floor play, TSM just started dominating round after round after round when it came to the early play there. But DarkZero's got an opportunity to make their own impact on the attack here now as we are 15 seconds into the action phase of round 7. DarkZero, we're going to see a couple of their players work their way up to the roof and begin that same top-down clear that TSM was needing to achieve in their own kitchen takes.
Well, change up here for DarkZero as opposed to what TSM was bringing to the table, especially in the hard breach department, not bringing the ace, instead bringing the Habana. Not the worst thing in the world, is she is quite useful when it comes down to it. The Hatch Queen herself, especially with her update recently, to make it to where you can be more frugal with those X-Kairos charges. So we'll see if they're able to get that off. Achieved. Might have something to say about that. Hyper's working his way in. Not the best day for him once again, starting off 2-0-5 at the half, but it could all start right now for him. Any of these picks that he's able to pick up are the start of the path back to success for DZ. They do have some library pressure, obviously, but he's going to be the lone soldier currently downstairs as TSM continue to delay time and hold on to quite a few different aspects of this area.
To go all quiet. That's until Hyper is able to let it go, though, on his rifle, taking down a chief. Bolo opens up a rotate opportunity for himself as he knows the situation's getting hot. That rotate will allow him to go down the hatch, back into the kitchen, and play into the site, which is where he might need to be right now, considering DarkZero have taken the initial edge in this round. A few other members of TSM also going to move from the second down to the first floor. You can see the white stairs presence from Merc now going to go away as he's going to position himself downstairs as well towards VIP.
Okay, well, they do, in fact, have mid control. Sky's going to accidentally shoot Mint a little bit. I would advise against shooting your friends there, Skies. That's probably for the best. But either way, the drone economy just demise for DarkZero right now. It's completely destroyed. They have 2 as of right now. Yeah, actually 2 in play, and that's absolutely it. Those are more than likely unfound. Although, you know, a man down. TSM are still well within their right to take this one. Merc still on an extended hold here inside of VIP. It seems like DarkZero want to play this down to the timer, though. As you can see, they're still trying to clear this area. Concussion out now. They know Merc's here. He's ready for the gunfight, but can he win it? The vision just too blurry for him as Skies as well as NJR pick up too. Bolo not able to scamper off over to Kochek, and TSM begin to fall apart. It's up to Geo. One of the best planters in the entire league now needs to have a 1v5 clutch to slow down DarkZero. He gets the first pick. The MP7 just not strong enough, and too many targets. Look at that from DarkZero as they flood into bunker.
DarkZero showing up with arguably just as coordinated of an attack that we were seeing from TSM there. Similarly, the TSM roster unable to hold their extended play, especially over towards the third floor there. They lose way too much. They lose the one player early on, are able to bleed down the count in sight as we got down to that final minute of play. And ultimately, DarkZero getting themselves the freezer side control, had what they needed to shut down those final few players, pushing into the site completely and shutting out Geo, as we saw him getting overwhelmed at the end of the round. So, DarkZero certainly not out of this fight just yet. TSM get a promising lead off their attacking side, but seem to have a couple issues of their own to rectify on the defense, as DarkZero wins the first round here and forces TSM onto a barn cocktail hold.
And DarkZero sure up the gap here, but there is still one. They need this round to equalize and really start to put pressure on TSM, and it's more than likely going to be just a taste of their own medicine, like, hey, how does it feel to have the offense constantly dominate you on Cafe? Well, you're about to find out. We'll see if DarkZero can possibly pull that off, but TSM already with the adjustments. We're headed upstairs. They're bringing a Mira into the mix and a whole bunch of other fun toys as well. We'll have Saria Gates, Castle Barricades, and Mute Jammers along for the ride inside of that department, as well as, well, our mainstay friend that we don't talk about too much because you guys all obviously know what this guy does, Jaeger, which we see like almost 100% of the time for some odd reason. It's really weird.
Yeah, it continues to be that consistent rock inside of the defense that we see picked time and time again for many reasons.
I could not name you a time where that wasn't the
Yeah,
case.
pretty much.
I'm pretty sure him and like if it comes down to it, Jaeger and Thatcher are the two operators across the entirety of Rainbow Six that no matter what time, like inside of patches, they're just like the most dominant or biggest choice on their side, respectively.
Thatcher's just been stuck on the bench for the last like 3 months in literally every single game that we play. So
I mean, he's been that way since ban phase came out because Thatcher's the most influential operator on offense.
I'd say it was like it didn't happen immediately, right? That we saw.
No, it did. Really? It really did. People started banning Thatcher out. Yeah, Thatcher's been like one of the highest priority bans inside of competitive Rainbow Six since the ban phase came in. It was him and Lion usually. Like people would ban Thatcher inside of rank like every once in a while as kind of like a troll, but they mostly like focus shields and stuff like that. But when it comes to competitive siege, Thatcher 100%. You have to get him off the board. It's just like the way I explain it is there's 2 ways to play Rainbow Six, right? Easy mode and hard mode. Hard mode is without Thatcher.
Well, there you go.
That's basically it. Like he just disables everything. So, it's kind of just like, well, here's the band-aid for your issue. That's,
We got DarkZero with a lot of presence on roof right now. No, definitely not lining up for a drop play. At least I hope we're not, because that's going to get real crazy real quick. I just saw a lot of players around that drop and I got nervous for a sec. But not going to end up happening, more than likely. Just some utility getting deployed to the inside. A frag, of course, combined with a flash, the flash meaning to eat up the ADS charge from the Jaeger, and the frag hopefully exploding on top of a player and at minimum taking out an ADS or some other form of utility as well there. We're going to see the X-Kairos go down onto the mirror windows, securing Cocktail and more importantly giving vision to any players on the inside to get rid of that advantage. A nade will go into. This one could be a winner, and there it is. Downs Geo. They're not necessarily going to realize it immediately, but there we go. The confirming happening from Hyper. Hyper also just taking heaven control. This is a great coordinated play from DZ right now, and it's nearly worked out to get them a plant. In fact, it has worked out to get them a plant, as that's now put onto the ground, and the 3 remaining TSM players are going to have to vie for a sudden retake. Oh, what a find from Chala. He's got another one coming up here too. Is he still aware of the heaven player? Just doesn't know the exact position.
Such a scary sight right now. Air jab on the flank as well as Achieve just trying to work his way around this. He sees the Zoe ready for the peek. Maybe saw the shadow inside of the hatch as well. Hopefully he has the shadows high enough, but we'll have to see. Hyper takes down Shala and Achieve, not aware of Eclipse on the roof. Got to bump those shadows up, buddy. Would have seen that one moving across the hatch, but either way, TSM more than likely not getting out of that one anyways, even though Achieved is one of the best clutchers in the game. DarkZero looking quite dominant so far on their opening picks as well as these rounds overall. That one there, I mean, what an offensive take. It's mostly a flood or mostly a securing of the bar area to try and get a plant down near like Shaiko or default. But really the big highlight thing there being while all the noise is going on and TSM's focus is drawn towards bar as well as everything that's going on with that, Hyper swings into heaven exactly like we saw Achieve do prior with all the noise going on upstairs and is able to find 2 quick frags that really sealed the deal for TSM and made it to where that round was practically unrecoverable.
All right, so DarkZero back in the action now with a very solid attack and as well as the heaven re-swing to double down the pressure on Cocktail, making sure TSM would not be able to play from that position after losing their mainstay on the execute there. It was Geo that was supposed to be taking a lot of the heat, but unfortunately took a little bit too much. The frag grenade knocking him out, not leaving anyone else to defend that position, leading all the way around towards White Stairs and allowing the Ash swing from DarkZero to work its way in, leading to pretty much an immediate cutoff for anyone on TSM trying to retake, and a very, very good overall take and post plant setup for DZ. Now we're going to go back to the first floor hold here again for TSM. Time to see if they can find better luck here. DarkZero so far running 2 rounds on the attack, uncontested against TSM, with the possible 3rd coming up right now, and the lead going back into their favor if they're able to win round 9 here.
Well, out of all of the stats in between these two teams, the one currently being the most influential is actually the opening kills. Whichever team has been able to procure that has won almost every single round, all except for a singular one. That one being round 1 where TSM got the leadoff pick, but DZ was able to win on Kitchen in pretty dynamic fashion. So that first pick meaning a lot when it comes down to it. So be paying attention to who is able to get these. And if we actually have a resurgence from the other squad, although that first pick does happen, TSM will have Merc upstairs all on his lonesome, so he'll immediately leave bar, or at least Cocktail, and run back in. Actually, went towards white, but doubles back on himself. Instead, wants to try and hold on to the zone and attempt to delay DarkZero if at all possible. But they've currently got other things planned out as they're beginning to roll some drones around the map, especially on this mid floor, just trying to lock up these rotations and potential flanks that could come through at a moment's notice.
Minute into the round, not a whole lot transpiring just as of yet here, but at the same time, none of the extended players from TSM really being challenged, and Bolo dropping down very early on there, as we do actually have a setup to play horizontally to the inside of VIP Hall this time. So they can give up that position a little bit more early on. And this is overall a pretty good adjustment, in my opinion, from TSM when you consider how quickly this upstairs hold was pushed out on the last defense here. So going to rely a little bit more on the first floor play in order to get them the delay they need to make DarkZero uncomfortable enough to force them in, and obviously leave them with quite a few dead players on the ground in the process due to a lapse, I should say, of info on what the TSM setup looks like. Mint, though, seems to be all ready to go on the drop down here. A flash to possibly support it, but also need to be cautious of the VIP hold. If they try to go for it now, this could be brutal for DZ, but we'll have to see.
Chala and the rest of TSM still awaiting DarkZero inside of the site, but it seems to be the freezer play right now for DZ as they're all poised inside of dining still. Possible flashes down and smokes to follow if they do indeed have them, but none on DarkZero as for the moment. So instead, it is going to be the flashes in an attempt to clear. This is a 5v5 coming down through freezer. This is going to be absolutely terrifying either way this breaks.
Oh, no,
let me tell you, especially with the Toxic Babes in play. Stun out, they'll be able to get the bunker player, but oh no, Chala going to be able to live a little while longer. As the rush finally comes through, Hyper will get gatted down from the 81. Skies with the refrag here, but Achieve still playing strong inside of VIP with multiple ADSs. He should be able to hold on to this one for quite some time, but now it's up to DarkZero to try and flood in. They'll finally get rid of the bunker player, but are they worried about the flank? They are. Achieve finally cleaned up as well. Eclipse needs to try and force this plant down. Bolo's still locking things up as the Vigil so very close. He has to know that there's Overwatch here. No way he tries to hop this. Able to get the frag, sneaks back down. Bolo waited to the last second because he's just so damn good at the video game. It doesn't even make sense. Oh my, TSM, what a way to seal that one up.
Bolo with like the peekaboo kill right there. Man, his opponent's not even able to catch it. It happens so quickly. Looks up, does see the Zofia, but just straight up ignores it. He knows he needs to hunt down that diffuser, leaves Zofia with no time left in order to replant it, even if he does get traded right there. It's a really good play from Bolo, and great job of not immediately trying to repeak as soon as he hears the noise as well. Plays out the timing on that, I think, really, really well to make sure that he has the lowest chance of getting picked by the Overwatch, as well as still making sure that he's able to kill the planter before it goes down onto the ground. That's a much-deserved win for TSM after having a great adjustment to their overall setup, rotating the hold primarily to be focused on the play towards VIP instead of extending the play onto the second floor White Stairs junction hold.
All right, well, TSM finally with a round on the board after two unsuccessful defenses on Kitchen and Bar. They're finally able to get it done on Kitchen in pretty convincing fashion. Like you were talking about with Bolo's play right there, I think that the coolest part about that was definitely him playing down that timer, but it wasn't the fact that he was scared that he was going to die. He wanted to play that timer down to the absolute minimalist second he possibly could, because if he's able to get that kill and he even gets refragged, they still have a player alive. So it literally doesn't matter. So Bolo just playing that situation to the best ability that you possibly can, given all the things that you need to know about Rainbow Six. That was just fundamentally an amazing round from him. So either way, TSM pull ahead once again here as we start off round 10. We're headed towards Reading and Fireplace Hall for that mid floor, but obviously the top hold going to be the most important part for TSM.
Going to be a play from Achieved as he works himself into the inside of the bakery. We'll see if there's any aggressive play that'll end up transpiring from that, or if he's just trying to watch the initial take from DZ. Either way, DZ are primarily going to move up towards the roof yet again here. Oh no! Merc will spot the head of Mint just barely on a quick check from the freezer position. Knocks out Mint, knocks out the hard breach for the attack here as well. That's a massive loss for DZ. That's actually getting revenge from round one right there. Yeah. Very, very difficult things ahead for DarkZero on this road, but that doesn't mean that they can't get through these troublesome times. Obviously, losing Mint is going to be quite a big deal, but, you know, they can get around this
even without that utility. It's obviously just going to complicate quite a few different things, but they have plenty of destruction to be able to get rid of utility and things along those lines. But that's exactly what happens when you don't truly account for things that can possibly happen to you with swings like that. Skylight's some a place that you don't really see too many people try and contest. Obviously, we all know Shaiko spot, that's a usual one, but a freezer swing is not something that you're going to see usually unless you're playing ranked, and he catches them off guard with that. That was the biggest play there for Merc, and that's exactly why Merc is so dominant inside of those engagements. He knows the perfect time to try and pull something like that. NJR is going to get a refrag, though, onto Bolo, who has been the big player so far for TSM, currently 11-1-7.
Merc going to continue to hold, but it's Geo that's the real story right now. Swinging out through the flames, only to falter a moment later. Merc, though, with a good find there, also trades it right back out, takes down NJR. Great control over the situation from him, and as well asserts the man advantage yet again for TSM, down to a 3v2. Eclipse at sub 25 and, well, now dead, so he's not getting much done. And Sky's now the only player left standing in this situation. Eclipse trying to get a little bit aggressive with the hop-in, gets punished for it at low HP. We'll see what Skies can do here in the 1v3. Doesn't even have case control for himself either. That looks like it's closer towards White Stairs. Merc with the sudden hop over there, trying to dodge the frag grenade. Keeps him alive, which in this situation is important, considering we're at a 1v3. Guys will just take care of the bulletproof camera so we can quickly push down here. Quickly deals with Achieved, but at the same time, allows time for Child to swing to the hallway, take up a position to immediately trade out Skies himself when the play continues to evolve there. Great hold from the folks on TSM as they net themselves yet another round.
Don't even say that. Don't even say that. You know we have to say good hold, Merc. That's what we have to say. That's those kind of rounds where a player like Merc just shines. It's times like that where you're just so happy to have somebody with his skill set on your roster. He's had kind of a quiet game overall, to be honest with you, as opposed to how we're used to seeing Merc play, right? Well, that round especially was a round that was not only necessary for TSM, but one of Merc's biggest rounds we've seen in a little while. He just pops off immediately with the mint pick, and then as DZ tried to roll in to take top white and put some pressure onto Cocktail, he just rolls through them with Geo, trades them out, able to get all the damage done, eventually knocking it down into a 3v2, which TSM handle with flying colors, knocking it down into that 1v3 we saw Skies try to get a handle on, but was not capable of doing so. So DarkZero now faced with a tall task of getting 2 rounds in a row, and it starts here on this offense as they attempt to take control of Bar.
We'll see Castle Barricades coming into play for this one as well. Should go down in the standard positions here, working with the Surya Gates in a couple situations, as Stokes has already mentioned previously inside of the match one we saw it get used by DarkZero on the previous half here. So you're going to have one example of it on the connecting cigar door there in the middle of your screen, middle left of your screen, and I believe another one will be deployed over towards the hold, over towards the hold on the inside of the back room as well. They're going to set that up in a similar way to what's been done previously.
Man, so much reconstruction right now for TSM. I mean, look at this stuff, ladies and gents. 2 shotguns as well as the third is the secondary for Geo as well. And you got to remember, Bolo can also punch holes. So that's 4 different operators that can create rotates and, soft destruction for the defense overall. TSM more than likely going to have a lot of angles that DarkZero will have to worry about. And here we see once again the pressure of the Surya Gates and what issues they do indeed present, because there's something I feel like we all know exists now, right? They're here, but the big issue is things like this. Hyper gets up on the window to try and give some pressure to the back of Christmas, but he's not able to shoot a breaching round or anything through it because he has nothing besides breaching rounds that are projectiles. So he has to give one of those up to try and clear that Surya Gate unless somebody wants to rotate across and clear it for him. And that's where these things become problematic, because you actually have to put, thought into, okay, what do I want to burn with this? Who's going to help me burn? Is my utility more important than somebody else's? And so on and so forth. So DarkZero seem to have somewhat of a handle on that, but TSM have rounded off on this entire top floor, as well as have some mid presence around red as well, with Achieved and a prepped Nitro Cell.
And JR continuing to hold this pixel peak and really getting himself a pickup here. T'Challa is going to take some pressure onto him, and while he will get downed, he will also take the head off of Skies. 2 more kills suddenly coming in for TSM, though, and DarkZero are down to only NJR and Eclipse. That devolved so quickly as soon as DarkZero started the take there. I don't even think they're fully aware of what hit them until a couple seconds after the fact. I mean, the case still on the roof. Someone's going to have to go outside and grab that now.
A bomb has been
Somebody left the groceries in the car. Run back outside.
Somebody
before the
got
ice
roof
cream melts.
picked again is what may have happened.
I don't. That actually might be it, dude. If Mint got roof picked again, oh no! Right into the M5 and Bolo with the headshot. TSM 7-4 over DarkZero on Cafe, a map that we haven't seen in a while, but I'm loving the new strategy that we saw on it with all of the different new and improved utility pieces. TSM, what a match overall, but their offensive side especially. I mean, what a showing.
Yeah, TSM in general, they're having so many good rounds, so many individuals being set up for massive success and being able to execute upon that as well. Such a weird game overall for DarkZero, though, as they have really promising starts to both of the halves. I think 2 O's at the beginning of both halves there, but then are unable to translate anything else beyond that due to TSM quickly learning, adapting, and clearly overcoming what DarkZero was throwing at them over the course of that game. Props to TSM as they take a much needed win, and for DarkZero, that's going to be a pretty massive loss. It's in regulation, so 0 points are going to DarkZero for that matchup, and that means a lot of the hopes for DarkZero to take a top 3 position might start to be dashed now inside of the league here.
Yeah, that matchup for DZ didn't come down to strategy, didn't come down to anything else outside of frags and opening kills. TSM just had that entire category in spades, and I might have calculated these wrong by 1, so 7 and or 8 opening kills for TSM. Ooh. That is ridiculous. That is ridiculous to have inside of this matchup, and that's exactly why they continue to dominate DZ instead of those rounds. Is when you have those man advantages, we all know how difficult it is to try and play Rainbow Six. You have to have that utility. You want